We're rolling. Welcome, everybody, to the pod. Oh, I'm out of breath getting everything set up. Welcome to the Podcast Engineering Show. My name is Chris Curran, and I produce podcasts for companies, and I teach at Podcast Engineering School. Every week on this show, we bring you podcast production techniques on a silver platter. We alternate between interviews with podcast producers and engineers and Daily Goody episodes. Now, the Daily Goody episode, like this one, is where I'm going to talk about 12 or 13 of the Daily Goody blog posts that I write every weekday. Now, I was doing 7 days a week, but a few months ago, I switched to 5 days a week. And because I've been doing it for a year and a half, and I put out, I don't know how many that is, whatever, 500, 550, whatever. But the Daily Goody, you can sign up to that email list as well. If you want to receive the Daily Goody as an email, either daily or a weekly roundup, definitely go to podcastengineeringschool.com, sign up for the Daily Goody. And of course, the next semester of PES starts July 7th, 2020. So if you want to learn how to produce podcasts professionally and get some clients and start making really good money from home, that's what we teach at Podcast Engineering School. So the Daily Goodies that I'm going to cover in this episode start on April 10th. And this first one is called Not Ruining Your Audio in the Last Step of Production. So a lot of podcasters and editors and producers, when you're almost done producing the episode, the last step is usually you put the episode to the proper LUFS level, right? The proper LUFS loudness level. But in addition, some people actually try to do some last minute, fancy audio processing like leveling or compression or multi-band compression or vocal riding or even de-essing or noise reduction. Whoa. So my advice is just to be careful. That the main gist of this whole post is to be careful because, working on podcasts, we hear a lot and you probably have de-essers and saturation plugins and all kinds of cool plugins, and it's really easy to overdo it. That's my whole point here. It's very easy to ruin the sound of your audio by using too much of a good thing. So the point is, always use your ears, okay? And in general, go easy when you're processing stuff. Go easy. Don't process it too much. Process it a little. See how it sounds. And then maybe keep listening or go back to another aspect of the episode and then, come back to it. Maybe increase it a little, but maybe not that much. And just do things in slow steps, slow stages. Because again, the danger is you're going to take a perfectly good audio and you're going to ruin it. So just be careful that you don't ruin good audio in the last step. Okay, the next Daily Goody. Clients that understand and obey your audio advice. I just like the sound of that. All right, I'm going to read it again. Clients that understand and obey your audio advice. Now, I produce podcasts for many clients, and over the past, 8 years, I've produced for many, many clients. And most clients will listen to you to a certain degree. Some won't listen too much, but what I'm saying here is that it's such a great feeling when you have a client and you give them some audio advice. It could be anything, just their setup, their equipment, their microphone technique, their recording resolution, anything and everything, right? When you give them advice and they actually listen and then they do the right thing, it's great. It's just great because not only are you ending up with a better audio product in the end, but you're actually teaching these people how to work with audio well. And of course, the converse of all this is clients who repeatedly mess up their audio. and those people are not as much fun to work with. So anyway, it's just really nice when, you have good advice to give and then people actually listen and then it actually sounds way better. It's just a good feeling. Okay, next Daily Goody. This is more advice. What is this? Giving audio advice to individuals who want to start a podcast. Okay, so here's the gist of this post is that when someone wants to start a podcast, what do? They go on social media and they're like, hey, I want to start a podcast. What mic should I get? What blah, 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 blah. What should I do? What app should I use? Blah, 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 right? And here's the thing. First of all, it's a valid question, okay? It's a valid questions. Like, those are all valid questions. However, what then happens is that 19 different people start giving different advice and telling different things. Oh, get this mic. It's great. And here's the thing. Nobody asks any clarifying questions. For instance, before recommending a mic to someone, I want to know where they are, like what kind of a room they're in. What is the room like? Are they at a desk? Are they in the basement? Are they in a closet? How noisy is it? What's the background noise situation like? I have like 47 questions before I'm going to even think about, recommending a microphone, right? Because you need to know 47 things. And it's just crazy when people ask for advice and all these other people start chiming in. It's a little weird. So the other problem with people who want to start a podcast is most of them want to do it for $0, right? They want to start a podcast and they do not want to spend even $1. And that's hard. It's hard to recommend stuff that's free, right? I mean, first of all, no hardware is free. But I mean, on Bandrew's podcastage channel on YouTube, I think he's actually reviewed microphones that cost like $20 and stuff. And okay, maybe they're not the worst thing in the world, but like, anyway, the point is when people ask for advice about starting a podcast, first of all, they don't give a lot of information. And second of all, they usually want to go the cheap route. And I remember from my days of roofing, right? My family has a roofing business in New Jersey. And one of the guys used to say that cheap is expensive. And it's true in roofing. Like if you got the cheapest roofing company to put a roof on your house, trust me, they're not going to know what they're doing. They're going to do the work quickly and badly, and then they're going to disappear. And then when you have a leak in your roof, you're never going to find them. And so, but if you pay a little more up front, you get a good roofer who's qualified, who's reputable, who has a long history of being a good company in the local community. Yeah, it might be more expensive, but dude, you're going to get what you pay for, and that's why cheap is expensive. So, all right, anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent there, or well, maybe. The next daily goodie that I'm going to talk about is what is latency in terms of audio production. So I actually linked to the Wikipedia article on latency, just in case you want to go read that, and I also linked to another article from Sound on Sound if you want to look at that. But basically, okay, so in podcast production, we normally don't come across latency. So latency is basically the delay it takes for audio to get into your computer and go through a bunch of processors and then come out of your computer. And that's why latency deals mostly with overdubbing in music. Because in music, okay, you can play a drum beat, and then you want to listen to the drum beat, let's say, and you're going to overdub some guitar. Well, you can listen to the drum beat and play the guitar, but sometimes there's latency on the guitar that you're hearing because it has to go into the computer and then come out. And usually it's not very much. It's milliseconds, but it can throw you off if you're playing guitar with a milliseconds of delay. Some milliseconds of delay. Anyway, that's what latency is. It doesn't really come into the podcasting realm, but it is just general audio knowledge that's good to know. And I know there's more technical definitions of latency. That's why I linked to those articles because, I don't know how to say it in the scientific way. Like, for instance, like someone like Daniel J. Lewis would probably detail everything about latency, which is great. Daniel's great at all that stuff, everything technical and being precise and all that. I'm not so precise like that. I'm more of an old school engineer who I just know how it sounds and I can make it sound right, which, there's value in that too. So Okay, next one. Plantronics Blackwire 3200 series headsets. Okay, this is about this series of headset, and for years I've been keeping my eyes open for a good USB headset, like the old school headset, like a call center kind of a headset, right? Where it's like headphones with the little arm that comes off of one of the ears. The little microphone comes off one of the ears and then goes sort of in front of your mouth. That's what I call a headset. And, for years I was, I think the Sennheiser PC8 was one that I had that wasn't terrible. By the way, pretty much they're all pretty bad. I mean, if you're going to compare any headset to actual pro audio sound, it's not a fair comparison. And I'm talking about cheap headsets here. I'm not talking about, the Audio-Technica BPH S1 or S2, whatever. Those are, $150, $200. Those are, those are good pieces of equipment. I'm talking about the cheapy little USB headsets. And so anyway, there was a student in PES who was using one of these Plantronics Blackwire 3200 series headsets, and it didn't sound bad. And I was like, hey, what is that? And he told me. So anyway, that's why I wrote a daily goody about it. Because, it happens sometimes where you'll have a podcasting client or someone who just wants a cheap setup. And believe it or not, a cheap headset, as long as it sounds halfway decent, is sometimes a good solution, because the beauty of a headset is that once they put that microphone in front of their mouth, it doesn't move, even when they turn their head, right? So the mic stays in the same place the whole time, which, for someone who knows nothing about audio and they know nothing about microphone technique, that's pretty cool to have the microphone right in front of their mouth the whole time, right? That helps, right? Okay, the next one is, that's my episode with Kane Power. If you haven't heard that one, check it out. The next daily goodie, 10 different monitor controllers. Okay, and I linked to an article on B&H. So a monitor controller is, it controls your monitors. So, if you have actual speakers, monitors that you're listening through, then it's really nice to have a physical volume knob, right? Because you don't want to just adjust the volume in the computer and then the audio comes through your speakers. That's terrible. Like, I always want to have my hand on a knob. That's my volume. Like, I don't care what's happening on the computer. All I know is I want a knob in front of me that I can turn up or turn down whenever I want without having to go into some settings in the computer or whatever nonsense, right? So that's why monitor controllers are great. And right now I use a pretty cheap one, actually, that I want to replace. It's a Palmer something or other. I actually linked to it in the post. But there's pretty cool, nowadays there's pretty cool monitor controllers. Some of them even act as audio interfaces as well. So you can kind of get have an audio interface and a monitor controller in one. That's pretty cool. All right, next daily goodie. Oh, this is tremendous. This is a plugin. This is my new favorite plugin. Literally favorite plugin right now. And it's going to take a while for this one to get dethroned as my favorite. This is the Focusrite Studio Console plugin from Brainworx. It's called Brainworx Bx Console Focusrite SC, and the SC stands for Studio Console. And it's a channel strip, so it has, compressor, EQ, gate, filters, de-esser, saturation, and it's emulated from one of the classic Focusrite consoles. That's why it's called Focusrite Studio Console plugin. The price of this plugin is $350, which is expensive, right? But I'm telling you, it sounds unbelievable. It's so clear. And here's something I want to bring up. A lot of times plugins are great and they're great for music, but then when you try to use the plugin on like a voice in a podcast episode, like it might sound pretty good, but it's a lot of plugins aren't, I don't know. A lot of plugins are made for music. And so when you just try to use it on a regular voice, they're good, but it doesn't shine. It doesn't add something where you're like, oh my God, that sounds awesome. But this plugin, because it's modeling the Focusrite Studio Console, which is one of the cleanest, best sounding consoles ever created. It probably is the cleanest and best sounding console ever made in many people's opinion. So I don't know what to say about this plugin. The EQ is phenomenal. The compressor's great. The filters are great. It just sounds great. And it just makes things more clear. It doesn't add a lot of color. So it just makes it sound clear and nice. And I just love it. I'm using it on everything. So there you go. It's a great plugin. All right, next daily goodie. Guests with noisy spouses in the next room. Yeah, guests with noisy spouses in the next room. Yeah. So, well, of course, this daily goodie was inspired by an actual session that I had with one of my clients, and their guest, the guest was connected, and the spouse was in the next room, coughing, moving stuff around, sounded like throwing boxes, making noise, dropping things, opening squeaky doors, closing doors. And the guy, well, I guess I just gave it away, but the guy who was on the podcast, he was using the computer mic. He didn't have an actual microphone. So he was using the computer mic, which, as you probably know, when someone sits in front of a computer, their mouth is like probably 2 feet away from that mic, right? And it sounds terrible. Usually it picks up all the room reverb and reflections and all the room noise and background noise. So that's why it was picking up his wife in the next room. And so the truth is, most people don't realize that noise like that is going to actually make it onto the podcast. They don't know it. They don't understand that. They almost think that it's almost like they're talking on a phone. It's like, well, I'm talking to you on a phone, and yeah, there might be a tiny bit of noise in the background, but it's not loud. People think that way. But in this case, because of the mic he was using, the onboard computer mic, the person making tons of noise in the next room was really loud. So I actually, in the middle of the session, I actually stopped the session, and I'm like, I'm hearing a lot of background noise. and the guest basically didn't want to go in the next room and say something. You know what I mean? Didn't want to cause a fight in the marriage over something which I'm sure the spouse wouldn't have understood. Regardless, man, woman, whatever. It's like the person in the next room, they don't understand. Like, what do you mean? I'm cleaning out the closet. I'm straightening up. What's the problem, right? That's how anyone would react, right? If you don't know about audio. So anyway, luckily the noise didn't completely ruin the episode, but it was close. It was actually close. Okay, next daily goodie. We got what? 2 left? 2 or 3 left? Oh, 2 left, I think. All right. Clarification on Squadcast's optional echo cancellation feature. All right. So if you use Squadcast, you'll know that they have a echo cancellation feature, which is supposed to be used if someone is joining the session and they do not have headphones, right? So they're literally listening either through either computer speakers or other speakers, whatever. And so that's terrible, because if someone's listening through speakers, that immediately causes a feedback loop, which is terrible. You can't have that, right? So, if everyone's wearing headphones or earbuds, then you should not use echo cancellation, right? Because you don't need it. There's no echo, there's no feedback, right? But the thing is, in Squadcast, the turning on and off the echo cancellation feature is a global setting that only the host can change. And it applies to all participants. So if you have 3 people who have good microphones and good headphones and all that, but you have one other person who's connecting who doesn't have headphones, then unfortunately you have to turn on the echo cancellation, and then you get the ducking phenomena, which I've talked about ad nauseum before, which is because of the echo cancellation, when people talk over each other, some people's voices get basically muted or ducked, right? It gets ducked. So it's like the echo cancellation algorithm is trying to figure out whose voice should be played and whose voice should be muted, basically, which is terrible. The ducking phenomena is horrendous. It's one of the worst things in podcast audio when it happens, because it's so annoying. especially when someone's like the guest will be talking and then the host will go, uh-huh, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And every time they go, mm-hmm, like the guest's voice ducks and you literally miss like 2 to 3 words. And it's like, it's just a joke. So, okay. But you have to have echo cancellation because if someone really does not have headphones, then you do need it. So anyway, so basically the moral of the story is have everyone wear headphones and earbuds. And if someone doesn't have any, I literally ask people, I'm like, what do you mean? You know, and this isn't for my show, because on my show, pretty much all my guests have real audio gear and they wear headphones. Most of them. Some of them don't actually. I mean, I could probably count on one hand the amount of guests I've had on this show that were not wearing headphones or something. And one of them was someone who's like an audio genius, which was weird. But anyway, but yeah, if someone does not have headphones or earbuds, you know, during the sound check, I'll find out. And I will tell them, look, you don't have earbuds anywhere? Do you have any earbuds in the car? Does your spouse have earbuds? Like, it's pretty weird if someone in 2020 does not have any earbuds anywhere, like 0 earbuds anywhere, right? That's a little weird to me. So, but anyway, and again, only the person hosting the Squadcast session has control of turning on and off the echo cancellation. And one other note is that the on-off setting for the echo cancellation is actually saved for future sessions. So if you have one session where you need the echo cancellation, obviously turn it on, but then remember, the next time you log into Squadcast, you need to turn it off, or else it'll just stay on. So, okay, this is the last Daily Goody we're going to go over for this episode, and it's about a podcast called Life After. All right, I heard this podcast probably 3-4 months ago. It's called Life After. It's like 3 years old, but it is very well mixed. It's like a narrative podcast. It's like an audio drama. And first of all, the story is good, but I was impressed with the mixing. The audio production of these episodes was very good. I mean, in many ways, the voices, everything was audible. They had a lot of different types of like background audio for the ambiance, like all kinds of different audio. So there was a lot involved, and they really tried to create a picture from the audio of this story, and it was very well done and very well mixed. And I wish if anybody, actually, I think I found out the person's name who mixed it, but I don't think they responded, because I think I reached out and asked to be on the show, but maybe I have to reach out again. All right, well, that's it. Those are the daily goodies we're going to cover today. Hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions about your audio setup, get in touch with me. Just go to podcastengineeringschool.com, and there's a contact us page. Just send me a note. Say hi. If you have any suggestions for guests for this show, same thing. Contact me. And if you want to be on the show, contact me. Same way. podcastengineeringschool.com, the website, and then go to the contact us page. Is that what it says? Contact us. Yeah. Which you're really contacting me. And which means you're contacting aliens, because I'm an alien. Okay. All right. Anyway, hope you're staying safe and staying sane, and I will talk with you next week. Take care. Bye.